So thank you, ladies and gentlemen, for joining us. I just want to say, first and foremost, that it is an incredible honor and a privilege to have Representative Giffords here with us. Not only, are you an absolute hero to many of us in public service and in your commitment to this country, but you are also the originator of an idea that is transforming the way our military does business in the field and the way our nation approaches its energy challenges, and potentially the way that the entire world uses technology. And so it's, I think, an incredible just honor to have you here today and to try to continue the work that you began in such a visionary way a few years ago. So thank you very much, and if you join me in a round of applause, actually. For Good afternoon. My name is Michael Breen. I'm the Executive Director of the Truman National Security Project and the Center for National Policy. I'm also a member of Operation Free, which is a coalition of veterans and national security leaders working nationwide to secure America with clean energy. I first became aware of our energy security challenges on the battlefield in Iraq and Afghanistan, as did many thousands of my fellow veterans. For me, energy security was about daily firefights on isolated combat outposts like this one in Iraq and Afghanistan, fighting to secure fuel convoys that were bringing us the gas we needed to operate our vehicles and our generators, even our electrical systems, every day. We called it fighting for our supper. And it turned into a daily cycle. It took a combat unit of 150 of the world's most highly trained soldiers and turned us into what we jokingly call the self-licking ice cream cone, just trying to sustain ourselves in the field. For Andrea Marr, who's joining us from California today, energy security meant helping ensure our military installations have resilient, renewable, and reliable sources of power. Andrea today is a member of Truman's Defense Council. She's a Navy veteran, and she's the author of this paper, already influential, called Generating Security, about our installational energy challenges. But Andrea and I are just two members of a nationwide group of veterans working on this issue. I'm proud to stand here today with the founders of DODESA, leaders in Congress who've been incredibly supportive of our veterans coming home and who've worked to ensure that our military is stronger, more effective, and more efficient fighting force. The provisions of this legislation are critically important because our military faces incredible energy challenges going forward. As we continue to position more and more force structure in the Asia-Pacific region, the largest expanse of sky and sea in the world, our energy challenges will only increase. A cargo plane flying from Bagram to Kandahar in Afghanistan burns around 3,000 gallons of fuel. That same cargo aircraft flying from Guam to Singapore will burn more than 16,000 gallons of fuel. Our energy challenges in the field are increasing exponentially. Meanwhile, our military's domestic installations remain tethered to a fragile electrical grid, putting our bases at risk of prolonged disruptions, bases that are critical to our response to natural disasters and critical to sustaining our operations in the field. So in the face of these challenges, we're extremely fortunate to have leaders in Congress, leaders like Congressman Peters and Senator Udall, to help support our military's energy security. Congressman Scott Peters has been a leader in Congress from day one on this issue. He's taken on the challenge, the rather incredible challenge, of filling Representative Giffords' shoes and carrying on that legacy. And he's got good reasons for doing that. I think our count is 6 major military installations in your district alone. And on those installations, some of the most exciting energy developments that are going on in the country today. Senator Mark Udall, as we all know, is one of the first members of Congress to recognize our military's energy challenges and to act to correct the situation. Along with Congressman Giffords, they've worked tirelessly to provide our military with the tools they need to accomplish the mission in the face of the national security challenges we face. So on behalf of the veterans of Operation Free, I want to thank both of you for standing with us. Thank you for your incredible legacy of leadership on this issue. And welcome, Senator Udall. Thank you.
Thank you, Mike.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mike, for your leadership. Amanda, thank you for what you've done, and I'm familiar with much of what's in this report conceptually, but I look forward to digesting it and adding it to my repertoire of the opportunities that we have. I want to thank the Truman National Security Project for what you do every day to build a more secure and a stronger America. And it is a poignant day for me. 4 years ago, Congresswoman Giffords and I introduced the Department of Defense Energy Security Act of 2010. We had an acronym we still use today, DODESA. That legislation, bridging my work on the U.S. Senate Armed Services Committee and the U.S. Senate Energy and Natural Resources Committee, bolstered the Pentagon's ability to save lives, decrease costs, and boost combat effectiveness by reducing energy consumption, all of what Mike outlined for us. And today I'm proud to join with Congressman Scott Peters of California to support those efforts and to continue the work that Gabby and I started. And along the way, Gabby, we heard from many military experts and leaders, including Admiral Mike Mullen, who said energy should be the first thing we think about before we deploy another soldier or build another ship or plane. And that philosophy came about because of the result of hard lessons learned. Mike referenced this. Every fuel convoy on the roads of Afghanistan places our men and women in uniform at risk. We've suffered more than 3,000 casualties in attacks on these convoys since 9/11. If we can increase the efficiency of vehicles and generators, we can reduce the number of convoys and troops in harm's way. If we can reduce the number and weight of batteries carried by ground troops, we can make our infantry lighter and more combat effective. And if we can employ more efficient technologies, we can spend less on fuel and more on troops and their equipment. Doing so will provide us with a military that is more capable than ever before. Last year, the DoD spent, it's an enormous number, $14.8 billion on fuel for operational missions. If we could reduce that number by even a few percentage points, we could avoid some of the cuts to personnel and programs that we might see in coming years. This legislation will help us cut waste, reduce energy costs, and allow our military to bring more combat power to the fight. Let me give you some examples. DODESA 2014 will authorize the use of energy savings performance contracts on deployable equipment. These contracts, and they have an acronym, of course, ESPCs, currently allow the Pentagon to build energy-saving projects on U.S. bases without spending any taxpayer funds. Instead, private companies pay for the project and recoup their investment over time from the savings on energy bills. Mobile ESPCs could fund LED lighting on naval vessels to reduce fuel consumption and maintenance. Or they might help to field new fuel-efficient generators used by troops overseas. This is a common sense authorization that gives the Defense Department the ability to work with private industry to develop more innovative solutions. The bill will also streamline Defense Department efforts to develop new energy projects and help to eliminate redundant efforts. It would require that the military establish a database of energy projects so that managers can access detailed information about every energy project across the military branches. This database will ensure that successes are shared and mistakes aren't repeated. In addition to energy efficiency, DODESA also advances military energy surety. What do I mean by that? The bill would establish a secure energy innovation program to ensure that our military installations continue to function in the event of a major power outage following a natural disaster or even an attack on our grid. And it urges the continued funding for more efficient tactical vehicles, promotes increased investments in energy-saving projects, and authorizes the development of infrastructure for alternative fuel vehicles on military installations, including natural gas. And I've said this before, our country and our military need an all-of-the-above solution to our strategic energy challenges. DODESA is not intended to be a silver bullet, but it does deliver some silver buckshot. And if I might end on this note before I turn the lectern over to Congressman Peters, one of the most thrilling moments for me over the last few years after the challenges that Congresswoman Giffords has faced was when she led us in the Pledge of Allegiance, and at the very end of the Pledge of Allegiance, she, with all the might in her voice and her body, said, "In liberty and justice for all." And that's really at the heart of our American experience, and that's what our military does, preserves that opportunity for all of us, liberty and justice for all. Gabby, it's wonderful to be here with you today. And I'll turn it over to Congressman Peters.
Thank you. So a little bit about how I come to this day. I represent San Diego, which, as the Senator noted, or as Mike noted, is a center for military. About 25% of our jobs are military. We also have a tremendous technology presence, including Qualcomm and biotechnology. We have a big clean technology industry in San Diego. We're big solar deployers, and we're also the center of algae research. I've been able, with Congressman Salmon, we are the co-chairs of the bipartisan algae task force. So who says you can't get a leadership position as a freshman, right? I'm the algae guy. Obviously you can use algae's been discussed for fuel, for food, and for nutraceuticals. But it turns out that as a member of the Armed Services Committee, I quickly learned that the Navy's interested in alternative energy and investing in things like that for their mission. And the biggest proponent of solar energy that I've met in Washington, D.C. wasn't someone from the Natural Resources Defense Council or the Sierra Club. It was the Commandant of the Marines who sat at my conference table and said, Congressman, I want to talk to you about, I'm thinking, what's it going to be? Is it going to be the budget? Is it going to be 170 or 180,000? What is it going to be? Well, I talked about solar energy, just for the very reasons we see here, is that they're using it to great advantage, particularly in the battlefield. So I went to the Truman Project and I said, tell me about this. How can I get involved in it? They told me all about it. I said, well, who could I work with in Congress who can teach me about this? And it turns out, well, they said this was what Gabby Giffords was working on. So I didn't have Gabby to teach me, but I've tried to use the Truman Group and the other resources to teach me about this in Congress in a way to tie my district to Washington, D.C., but also to help promote this great work that you've started and you've been doing. And it's an honor to have you here with us today and to be able to stand on your shoulders in continuing your work. Senator Udall, I also want to thank you for your consistent leadership in this issue over the past years. I'm happy to be here to help introduce this bill, DODESA. As the Senator said, military reliance on fossil fuels is a national security issue. And the wars in Iraq and Afghanistan have showed us problems we've had with fuel convoys and supply lines and vulnerabilities. And we know that the reliance exclusively on fossil fuels limits flexibility in the field and puts our service members at risk. One of the most dangerous things we do is move large convoys of petroleum from one area to the other and putting Marines and soldiers at risk. It also puts the department at the mercy of the international oil market with its spikes and its vulnerabilities and unpredictability. The nonpartisan Congressional Research Service indicates that the petroleum costs for the department quadrupled between 2005 and 2011, despite a 4% reduction in petroleum use. So reducing fossil fuel use will have strategic and tactical benefits and potentially big cost savings. The recent quadrennial defense review highlighted the need to invest in energy efficiency, new technologies, and renewables to make the military stronger and more effective. So where are we going? The quadrennial review also said that investments in energy improvements enhance range, endurance, agility in future environments where logistics are constrained. And that's particularly important as we focus on the Pacific with its great expanses and not quite finished off infrastructure. We have to give the military the tools that they need to increase energy efficiency and self-sufficiency, not leaving them vulnerable to civilian power grid blackouts or extended convoys across the desert or the ocean. So I've talked to military and private sector leaders in San Diego and Washington, D.C. They want flexibility. They want tools like this in this bill to make the bases more secure and the deployments more successful and safe. And we need to engage with nonprofit organizations and advisory groups like I have in San Diego. We have Clean Tech San Diego, the San Diego Military Advisory Council, in military communities across the country to get all hands on deck. And that's exactly what we will do as we move forward. The Senator covered a lot of the details of the bill, but it is remarkable, about $20 billion we spend every year on energy, $15 billion in fuel. There's a lot of opportunity for improvement in efficiency, cost savings, and security, which is really what this whole effort is ultimately about. On the installation side, the bill will push the military toward increased energy security by pushing microgrids like we have at UC San Diego, or renewables like we have in solar at Miramar or the Marine Corps Recruit Depot, and taking advantage of things like methane from adjacent landfills. It lets energy managers also reinvest the savings from energy efficiency instead of taking it away from them as we sometimes do in the federal budgeting process. We'll also get the metrics that we need and the infrastructure we need for alternate fuel vehicles and for energy assurance programs. So what we're hoping to do through this bill is to give the department the tools it needs to protect service members and national security, while also showing our commitment to the commercial market that the government is looking at an energy secure future. Implementing the bill sends a strong signal to the commercial and contractor market that the government and the military will work with them to invest long-term towards sustainability and efficiency and reliability. And the department history in fostering commercial development, it's consistent with that. We know the department invested in GPS and the internet. Those weren't commercialized by the department, but they were important discoveries that we made. And it's that kind of partnership that we hope to continue here in the energy sector as well. I know companies in San Diego and across the country are ready to work with the military and vice versa, and we'll hope we'll get them moving through this effort and other efforts. But again, Mike, thanks to the Senator for working with me on this and letting me work with you, and especially to Gabby for getting this all started, and we're going to finish it off. Okay? Thank you all. Mike, turn it back to Mike. Thank you.